It's better. Hello, my name is Angus, and welcome to this episode of some shit I'm going to talk about. That was a practice for my beginning of the storied garden building, school building, and growing. Today I was thinking more about the storied garden of school, of storied garden, the school of building and growing. So I was thinking more about this storied garden today, and I was reflecting on how cities are built. A couple 5-6 years ago, I was doing some masonry work for a great guy, and he was developing a little neighborhood, like cul-de-sac neighborhood of nice houses. He built nice houses, and he showed me how a lot of the city roads and city planning is done 50, 60 years in advance. Sometimes in cities, they're projecting, all this, all these people living in a certain area based off of, I don't know, I think, call it those mathematicians, statuaries. I think that's the right name. They, take, we'll take a map where they've drawn some lines and mapped out what the city's going to look like. And, here's commercial, here's residential, just in squares. And it could be cow fields, but eventually it's planned that this will be commercial, this will be residential. So then, I believe, I don't know, local, I'd say probably the county might, or city planners might have people that calculate, like I said, the amount of homes being built and the demand for those homes, population. I mean, I'm just guessing. Then they'll start, once this number reaches a certain level, and they start building the roads out to this area. They'll expand them. And that's the first sign that some major building and expanding is going on in like on the outskirts of a city. Well, I was thinking that's exactly how the school of building and growing can work. Start off with, first off, the idea, find the land, make the plan, draw the plans. And I think it's important, though, to know that the heart of this place is going to be filled by the expressions of all the students, artists, creative people and also everybody that is involved in some way. Uh, but then, hopefully, this place will provide an actual way to, with actual a certain kind of knowledge that comes from experience that can be passed down, grown, expanded. There's a seed bank in Sweden, I believe. And that seed bank is, you know, all these seeds of plants that are grown or that are from around the world that are different things we eat or use, medicinal herbs. you know, just because we know about a certain plant, we need the seed to grow it. The seed is a map of what the experience of that plant is going to be. And when uh, well, I thought that analogy was going the other direction, honestly. I was thinking that the seed was the our if I think about my DNA, that every cell has the direction or the all the information that is contained within my body. It has one little cell has the knowledge of every other cell and exactly how it's supposed to be put together. Now, what's funny about that, though, is when I think about it, is cells are dying and moving around all the time. But somehow it looks like my hand and my body staying in somewhat of a similar form. So that makes it complicated to think about because what holds our cells in this form? It's a complex mixture. I mean, I'm obviously there, it it seems like an irrational question when I think about it in a certain light. But in another light it might reveal something about how you know we view I view or it could be viewed or in the lens of perception of how we're dynamically set up to view our bodies. That in this context, where we take a second to view our bodies and the more subtle complexities within them, it becomes apparent that simple ideas and conversations are simple only in the vacuum of the knowledge of experience. When one has an experience, then you have filled the words that you would use to define that. So when words live as a potential, I guess that's kind of like a seed, then the experience of the word is the plant, perhaps. There's one further thing I'd like to add to this. And that's that words can word is a word for word is the word that defines our mode of communicating, typically here on Earth. Whether it's via language, written or vocal. The written words are grounded through our larynx, and the different letters make the different sounds. So they come into reality through our larynx, our voice, or through our hands and words. So automatically, if a word is perceived, it's grounded in one way, at least. But that's not very much. I mean, you can go look at different languages which contain quote unquote words or little pictures like the Chinese and Japanese, but I think they look at those as words, but they're the English language, considering that it has 27 sounds that we make with our mouth. Those are movements of our tongue, and that makes the tongue pretty the thought patterns associated with our tongues I would say are probably pretty subtle. And I notice when I'm walking around or when I've noticed I pay attention sometimes to what my tongue's doing. I wanted to also bring up two about words, and that is some fair amount of time ago I was reading on a writer's forum, and there was somebody had posted a blurb about AI technology or research and how in the research they kind of set up like they were tracking people's brains, and when they spoke a word or when they heard a word, and I can't remember exactly, and the reference to the research was non-existent. It was just sort of like hey, I read this the other day. So it's kind of a disclaimer, but I mean, it really made sense to me, so I think it just stuck in my head. Basically, we relate to words through our body. a lot of the times, because that's how we interact in life, is through our body. And a lot of the words that we have are directly related to what we come in contact with, experience, or sometimes desire. So I'll just stick with those two for now, and then there's the words that are have imagination filled with them, which can also be an experience if you experienced something in your imagination around that. But the body and words, for instance, hammer. This was in the blurb, the example. Hammer, when it's said, registers in a person's mind or heard. So when I say hammer, when you hear it in your mind or in my mind, how you've had an experience with hammering before registers in your mind. So, like me, I have different, hammering. I've hammered quite a bit. And so I'm sure that when I say hammer, it has a lot of experience behind it. But I don't know it in my brain. It would, the crazy nest of light would look similar to somebody else's crazy nest of light. That's how I imagine that the um, brain scans look. All right. Well, have a good night.